Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to day 17 of the 10-year YouTube celebration. On day 16, I talked all about Trivia Thursdays, the series where my best friend and I sit down and quiz each other, have fun facts, and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's always a lot of fun. We enjoy doing that. And today, on day 17, I'm going to be talking all about when I decided to actually start making content on Fire Pro Wrestling. Which, for those of you who don't know, Fire Pro Wrestling is just another wrestling video game series that's been around for a very long time. It's got a very old school looking graphical style. It's got an isometric point of view. But the AI logic in the game, which is its biggest selling point, is so good that even though it doesn't look realistic, you can have some of the best simulated matches in any wrestling game ever through the various different Fire Pro Wrestling games. So my experience with Fire Pro Wrestling actually very briefly dates all the way back to when I was a little kid. For some reason, shortly after I'd gotten into wrestling games, my dad ended up getting me a PS2 copy of Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. Now, I was so young and had no experience with wrestling games at that point, really, that I didn't know anything about Fire Pro Wrestling or what it did, and I just was not prepared in any way to have Fire Pro Wrestling. You know, I was like, oh, it's a wrestling video game, so I need to play it. You know, I need to play the matches and be involved. And I was like, while you can do that in Fire Pro Wrestling, obviously, again, that's not its selling point. That's not what it does best. Like, the AI logic and what it can do for simulating matches is really, like, the best part about it. It's the highest point. It's the highest point, you know, that's where it's at with Fire Pro. But, so yeah, I didn't really put any time into it, and I ended up getting rid of that, which I regret now, knowing about Fire Pro and loving Fire Pro. But yeah, as a kid, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anything about it, so yeah. But then, obviously, later, I would learn about Fire Pro Wrestling World, get super into a bunch of creators making content on it, most notably Pulse with all the stuff he did with it, and obviously, most notably for me, being SAFW, the series he did with Tubby Emu. And yeah, that really inspired me, and I loved SAFW so much that it directly inspired me to bring this fictitious wrestling company that I created back in 2013 called ASWA, and standing for the All-Star Wrestling Alliance. That's, yeah. I wanted to just do something, I wanted to bring that back and make a series in Fire Pro, and that's what I did with their game mode called Fire Promoter. It was a lot of fun. I was very excited for it. So initially, I will say, I started that... So I made the intro video to that series in May, and then I didn't actually do episode 1 until August. And that's in 2019, by the way, I should say that. And yeah, I loved it so much, I did the first month. I watched all the matches, booked my first show, I did everything for the first month. Because you get one show a month for Fire Promoter. And yeah, so I did the first month by myself in episode 1, loved it so much that I started pitching to Tyson about it, got him at least slightly intrigued by it, so we did a couple of episodes. We did a couple episodes together, recording about 4 hours worth of content there, split into 2 episodes, and then obviously our schedules have always been so different for so long now that eventually I just wanted to record more Fire Promoter, so eventually I just wanted to record more Fire Promoter, so I did episodes 4, 5, and 6 by myself, leading to the end of that first year, which obviously wasn't intended to be the end, and it could have been a good end had I got the final episode out, which actually would have been... So technically speaking, I did finish the first year, but I wanted to... So I was originally planning this really big, like, 1-year anniversary show for the mode, or for the series, you know, and it was going to be like, okay, so in the game, we've done a year, let's do this really big show. I had 10 matches, I had 10 matches, maxing out the entire card, had a bunch, like, Had a bunch of really cool stuff, but that didn't happen. I never actually put out the episode. And then my PS4 that I had at the time completely died, and I lost all the footage I had on there from when I was still recording with the PS4. So yeah, that that really sucked. That really sucked. And that is one of those things where, like, I wish I could get that motherfucker turned back on. And admittedly, I actually did get turned back on briefly, but I don't think it'll actually work anymore, because I got it turned on very briefly, went to update it, and it completely shut off during updating. So yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work anymore at all. And the last time I tried to turn it on, it still wouldn't work. So yeah, I think that's completely dead and buried, sadly, like I said. But it would have been a really cool thing. I had more plans for it, wanted to do more, and I have come up with ideas of bringing it back. Not ASWA necessarily, but bringing back Fire Pro and just wanting to use it more. Like, obviously, Tyson and I also started using it for, like, Tournament Tuesdays more, with, like, the Fire Pro tournament, where Tyson became the Tournament Tuesdays champion for the first time, and we worked it into the multi-game tournament earlier this year. So, again, really cool things that, again, we both really enjoy, and we both love Fire Pro. We both love Fire Pro now. And it's, like, this also really cool thing that can just bail us out if we need it to. Like, for the multi-game tournament, we ended up finally bringing women into the tournament, and because Fire Pro, you know, I own Fire Pro Wrestling World, we can easily then, if everything just doesn't really work out in a good way for the tournament then, and it didn't, in our case, we can then use Fire Pro, it bails us out, and we can do, like, intergender matches and stuff like that for the sake of the tournament. And yeah, it worked out perfectly that way. And we had some really great matches in there. We got to see Bayley beat The Undertaker, so I mean, that was great. Anyway, yeah, that's a different conversation. But anyway, yeah. Again, love Fire Pro. Always have a good time with it. It was something that once I really learned what it is, what it does best, and what the appeal of it is, that's when, like, again, it finally clicked for me. It's like, okay, I understand it now, obviously, and I get it. And it's something that I've just fallen in love with as time's gone on. And it's something, like I said, I do want to do more content with it. And I want to, you know, kind of keep that going and seeing what I can do with it, you know. But as it stands right now, like I said, Fire Promoter, as it stands right now, the Fire Promoter series is dead. I wish I could have gotten at least that, like, final episode, you know, what would have been, like, the 1 year, like, anniversary, if you will, but I couldn't. That's entirely my fault. But, yeah, I didn't get it out, and I lost the footage forever now. So, oh well. But, yeah, Fire Pro is such a really cool thing. I love it a lot, and that's really all I've got. That was a brief look into my history with Fire Pro, and when I started the Fire Promoter series, how much I love it, got some more ideas for it, and that was day 17 of the 10-year YouTube celebration. Hope you join me for day 18 with whatever that happens to be, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.